One's ready. One's ready. Go!
Hey everybody, welcome back to the One's Ready podcast. This is your daily drop for the 1st of April. I promise no, April Fool's Day jokes or anything like that. It's stupid anyway. But anyway, this daily drop is brought to you by Attack Elite. If you head over to our site, onesready.com, go over to the right-hand side where it says prep and then partner discounts. The second one down is Attack Elite. They've got everything you need for kick-ass gear in terms of rocket fins, Alice rucks, booties, to put your feet in so that you can wear the rocket fins. They've got high volume masks, snorkels, anything like that that you need to train for the pipeline, buds, Special Forces Assessment and Selection, Ranger School, or you just want to get better, check them out. Now, by clicking on those links from our site, it'll actually give you a generated promo code to use because One's Ready doesn't work. So it'll give you a generated promo code and you use that and it'll get yourself a discount. All right, on to the joint news. But before we get to that, if you guys are new here, this is the news that is sent out to all the commanders and the chiefs every day. And it is curated by Public Affairs Office. And so I'm just kind of giving you the quick blurbs from each of them. So starting with the joint news, the U.S. is sending troops to Thailand and $2 million to Myanmar for earthquake relief after that 7.7 magnitude earthquake killed 2,000 people. Major Matthew Gregory said Indo-Pacific Command is coordinating with allies to support the recovery efforts. Yeah, I got to imagine that folks from Kadena, the PJs and maybe even the STS and controllers that are out there at Kadena are helping out with this, or maybe even some of the folks that we have forward deployed are going to help out with this. So they'll do great work as they always do. Next, Defense Secretary ordered a review of combat fitness standards to ensure gender neutrality due within 60 days. He aims to maintain high equal standards for all combat roles. Yeah, we've been saying this for a long time. Like, nobody actually cares if you're a man or a woman doing this job. It's just the standards are the standards and they remain the same, and they're the same for everybody because the enemy and life and the environment and nature and all that kind of stuff, they don't care if you're a man or a woman. So you got to be able to perform. Next, Hegseth rallied Japan and Philippines during his Indo-Pacific tour, pledging a U.S. forces Japan overhaul and advanced defenses against China. He emphasized readiness and cooperation at an Iwo Jima ceremony. Yeah, we can't do any Man, I'm sorry, I keep coughing. We can't do any of the stuff in the Pacific ourselves. We need partners. We need allies. So going in there, rallying the troops with Japan, Philippines, Australia, New Zealand, and stuff like that, it all pays dividends in the end. So all about it. Next, junior enlisted troops, E1 to E4, will see a 14.5% pay raise starting April 15th, with other ranks getting a 4.5 or more. The move addresses retention and inflation gaps for the lower ranks. It's about time. Like, our main focus should be retention now. Recruiting numbers are great and where they're at, but retention needs to fix itself. And part of that is, well, there's a lot of it. One is money, right? I mean, people's way of life is dictated by how much money they have in. Sorry, I'm skipping over myself here because I'm thinking of all the other things that impact retention as well. But hey, rock on to the E4 and below Mafia that are getting a pay raise, and for everybody else, congrats as well. Like, it's well deserved, well earned, and I'm happy for you. Next, Trump's nominee for Joint Chiefs Chairman, Lieutenant General Dan Kane, or Raising Kane, faces a Senate hearing today backed by Hegseth as an outsider picked. Retired General David Goldfein noted Kane's biblical inspiration for the role. If you guys don't know General Goldfein, he was the chief staff of the Air Force. He was also shot down in Bosnia, rescued by the 23rd Special Tactics Squadron, filled with controllers and PJs. So, if General Goldfein says he's good, and obviously I'm familiar with Raising Cane, he's great. We are lucky to have him, and I'm glad he's coming back for the job. And for anybody that thinks that he's not qualified for it, like, read his resume. Also, you don't have to have been a graduated service chief to be able to be the Joint Chiefs chairman. So just throwing that out there. Next, Secretary of Defense drew criticism for involving his wife, Jennifer, in sensitive meetings and his brother, Phil, in his Indo-Pacific tour. Legal expert Kathleen Clark flagged potential nepotism violations under federal law. I'm not familiar with any federal law that has nepotism, but I could be wrong. I mean, I am definitely no legal expert, that's for sure. Next, the White House declared a Signal chat scandal closed, with steps to prevent recurrence despite ongoing Senate probes. National Security Advisor Mike Waltz remains in place after the leak to Atlantic's Jeffrey Goldberg. Case closed. I'm sure this is not the last time we're going to hear about it, even though it's old news. A cyberspace solarium report warned that China's cyber attacks on civilian infrastructure could disrupt Indo-Pacific deployments. Retired Rear Admiral Mark Montgomery highlighted vulnerabilities in U.S. rail, ports, and aviation. Yeah, not just vulnerabilities in terms of cyber, because they are operating on some old systems, but also just infrastructure in general. Our ports, our aviation, our railways, our highway system, it is dilapidated. We have done a very, very poor job of taking care of all that. I mean, none of you can tell me that you don't have potholes and really, really bad parts of your highway system wherever you happen to live. Like, it's not great. All right, next, the Pentagon's Chief Data and AI Office launched Global Information Dominance Experiment X to integrate data into CJ, Combined JADC2 is what it stands for. It's Combined Joint All-Domain Command and Control is what it stands for, networks. Lindsay Shepard said it aims to deliver lasting system improvements for operators. Combined JADC2, or Combined Joint Combined Joint All-Domain Command and Control, is a fancy term that has been thrown out for quite some time, although we don't have it right yet. So, and as technology continues to change and upgrade and everything like that, like, it's a great concept. It's tough to wrap your head around. Like, as somebody who was part of the problem and part of trying to find the solution for it when I was at SOCOM headquarters, like, it's a massive problem set to try and get your arms around, with people and agencies and services that have competing agendas as well, and competing thoughts and ideas on where we should be going. So, and that ties right into the acquisitions process as well. All right, this is specific Air Force news. Aerial porters at Travis Air Force Base are testing collapsible conveyor belt. TISABAS is what it looks like, what the acronym is going to be. TISABAS. I'm not sure what that stands for. To speed loading and reduce injuries, Chief Master Sergeant Sean Storms praised an ergonomic benefits. I know Chief Storms. He's a good dude. I really like him. He's solid. He's a short king like me. Next, Idaho National Guard A-10s deployed to Southwest Asia following the B-2s to Diego Garcia, reinforcing U.S. global security commitments. Yeah. Guess what? Hogs, A-10s are still putting in work. Let's, as an Air Force, recognize this, acknowledge it, and chop some money over to them to get them new engines, new avionics, and let's keep those bad boys in service for as long as we possibly can. Next, Trump administration scrapped plans to transfer DC's F-16s to Maryland, focusing on warfighting readiness to the cyber transitions. Maryland's Major General Janine Burkhead fights for a new flying mission as A-10s retire. Hey, got a solution for you. Don't retire the A-10s, and we're all good there. Next, Air Force Academy cadet Roman Bradley faces sexual assault charges from a 2024 Boulder frat party incident. Despite a recent drop in academy assaults, the case awaits a hearing in April. The Air Force Academy has been plagued with that kind of stuff throughout the years. It's good to see that the numbers are down, but one is too many, and man, it's I feel for all the cadets that are out there, and I know some of you listen for sure. I don't know if you listen to the news or the Daily Drop, but I know that some of you guys listen because we hear from you. I feel for you, and hang in there. It's not going to last forever. Next, the NTSB is probing a near collision between a Delta flight and an Air Force T-38 near DC during an Arlington flyover. It follows a fated. We talked about that yesterday. There's no updates on that. I'm surprised they put that back in here. All right, next, Space Force news. The Space Force plans 2026 to 2027 tests of satellite refueling tech with Astroscale and Northrop Grumman via Tetra 5 and Tetra 6. The experiments aim to extend satellite lifespans in orbit. Yeah, that stuff's expensive to put up there, and then to have something up there and it not work. We need, just like the A-10, almost shout out the A-10 again, we need to extend its life as much as we possibly can. The Air Force does not need to get smaller, it needs to get bigger. Gravitic's orbital carrier contract will enable the Space Force to deploy multiple satellites rapidly, countering China and Russia's orbital threats. We talked about this yesterday. I don't need to go into detail about it again. I don't think I do anyway, but you guys tell me if I do. All right, next. This are of interest. Former STRATCOM commanders urge revitalization of U.S. nuclear deterrence against Russia and China's growing threats. General Kevin Chilton and Charles Richards cited Ukraine as a wake-up call. Well, we should have never fallen behind, especially when it comes to our nuclear deterrence, our destroyers, our ships, our 5th gen, 6th gen aircraft, to include our A-10s. Keep them coming. We need them. We're going to need them in the future, I promise you. Next, ex-Air Force Secretary Frank Kendall excluded the F-47 NGAD from the FY26 budget due to funding shortages, prioritizing counter space. He doubted its export potential given the high costs. So to be clear, I don't like politicians. When you're the Air Force Secretary, you are for sure a politician at that point. However, I can't even pretend to understand the difficult problem sets and the constraints that somebody at that level is trying to deal with. So I as much as I criticize and rightly deserve to criticize them and will continue to criticize them, I also can objectively take a step back and go like, holy shit, they're trying to solve some serious problems here and some serious constraints. So I don't know, maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong. I don't think that the high cost is going to prohibit other countries from grabbing it. We're just having to bite the bullet at first. Next, over 300 Service Academy alumni signed a letter supporting transgender candidates, arguing their identity aligns with the Academy values. The stance counters Trump's ban on outgoing lawsuits. Maybe their identity aligns with Academy values. Do Academy values have mental illness in it? Because that's part of the DSM-5, and this whole transgender thing is a mental illness. And you want to act like a certain person, like, okay, that's fine. That's on you. I really don't care. But you can't force me to do it. You can't force my family, my friends to do it. And you can't force an organization to bend to your will. So anyway, that's it. That's the Daily Drop for the 1st of April. Hope you guys have a great day. Later.